you there. Blockchain now, technology's unfair. Elevate the game, chains all in the air. About to blow up, it's time to testify. Chain and signatures launched, we're reaching for the sky. Blockchain gets unlocked, N's leading the drive. Now sign any chain, the future's here's live. Chain signatures we ride, anytime, anywhere. Me up for the cold nights, get your signature. Blockchain now, technology's unfair. Elevate the game, chains all in the air.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Redacted Hackathon AMA with the Proximity team and some people from Pagoda. It's all about chain abstraction. We've got the architect. We've got the people who work on it on day to day. And we've got some people from DevHub. This is all focused for devs who are going to be joining the hackathon for Redacted. So first things first, let's do some introductions. Everyone, I'll just call it out. Joe, if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. I'm Joe. I'm one of the moderators over at Near DevHub, and we help with all the support and the developer ecosystem.
Awesome. MJ?
Sure. Thanks, Jared. Hey, everyone. This is MJ, head of product at Proximity Labs. So Proximity is a company that was originally founded by a few core contributors of Near. For the first 3 years or so, we have been focusing on building out the DeFi ecosystem for Near. And over the last 8 or 9 months, we've been really focusing on the go-to-market strategy and product evolution of Near's chain abstraction initiatives.
That's awesome, man. Stoked to see it coming together, too. David, DMD, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm David. I work at Pagoda. At Pagoda, we build the MPC network, so sort of the actual chain signatures technology itself. We build FastAuth, which is now going to be multi-chain FastAuth very soon. And we also do stuff like the multi-chain gas relay and other useful contracts like that.
Oh, that's awesome. So we can get real dev on this. This is good. And then Maria?
DevHub, also one of the core moderator team along with Joe. So I can probably pass it on to Russ.
Awesome.
Hey guys, so oh yeah, sorry. So this is Russ. I work with MJ at Proximity Labs. I've been here for over a couple of years now, and I'm currently leading BD efforts for, well, in particular, chain signatures, which is what we've been focusing for the last 8 to 9 months, as he said.
That's awesome. And also, we've got 2 more people I'm going to bring on stage right now. Hey, how's it going, Josh? If you want to introduce yourself, let us know, fellow dev from the Near ecosystem, or not fellow dev, for Joe. Okay.
Hey, everyone. I'm Jaswinder. I've been in the Near ecosystem for 3 years now, just doing open source contributions. Been part of Near Builders for a while now, and Harmonic Guild. So doing open source contributions here and there, experimenting with the new tech all the time. So thanks for having me.
Heck yeah, man. Having devs on this is all for devs. And then V, introduce yourself. You're on stage.
Hey, how's it going? Well, I'm V and I work with MJ and Russ at Proximity Labs, and super excited. I'm been looking forward to this live stream for a while now.
Awesome. I'm super glad you're all here. Now, I'm just going to do a little housekeeping, and then I'm going to just step out because then this is dev talk, and I'm just, So the main thing that I'm going to bring up right now is I want to just do some high-level housekeeping with what exactly the dates are and how this hackathon is being structured, and the online versus also the bonus part that's going to be IRL. So let's drop this infographic. All right, so the Redacted online hackathon has over 500K in bounties. Now there's going to be 2 high-level tracks, and that's important, right? So we're going to have the chain abstraction track, which is great, and we've got people, that's what this stream is about. And then we also have a whole AI track. Now those are both high level, and they do cross over in a couple places, and we'll get into that later in the weeks. Here's some important dates. September 5th, that's tomorrow, the hackathon kickoff, the opening ceremony. Then September 25th, you can start submitting projects. October 25th, final submissions due. Then you've got your October 25th through November 8th is judging. And then at the IRL event, winners will be announced. Now, at the IRL event, there's also like a bonus hackathon with special bounties. We'll be talking more about that later. You do not need to do the IRL to be in the online hackathon. You can just do the online. And the last thing about bounties, really cool thing, is you can stack them. All right. So the stacking of the bounties can be a really cool thing, because then you can build something, say in chain abstraction, you can just add some part of the AI tech stack to it. And we'll get more into that in later sessions. All right. That's my housekeeping. Joe, take it away.
Cool. Thanks, Jared. Yeah, no, this is an exciting live stream because there's so much you can do in Near, and we want to frame this whole entire hackathon that it's not just about 1 or 2 topics, right? So the big 2 narratives right now are obviously chain abstraction and the AI track, but we want to be able to highlight all this stuff. But today we're highly focused on chain abstraction because we have some of the core people here who are involved in actually building it and actually what it's all about. And I want to talk, especially with you, Jazz, about like where you see some ideas coming, things like that. But let's start at the really high level. David or MJ, can you just kind of talk about like what exactly chain abstraction is and how it is different on Near versus other places?
I'll jump in. So chain abstraction is generally the idea that users shouldn't have to give a shit about what chain they're using. So it should be, you should go for the app, and you should use that app and use that account with any other app that you want, with sort of full account abstraction. And a lot of chains are trying this in lots of different ways. Now, what we have is a thing called chain signatures. And what chain signature allows you to do is to have any smart contract on Near hold any account on any other chain. And that gives us kind of the horsepower to do this account abstraction, this chain abstraction better than anyone else. So that's why it's different and why it's useful.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so we want to really highlight too, and it's important here that everything is done through your Near account. So it's not about having to set up a whole host of wallets and everything else. Can you talk a little bit about how this is not bridging. This is, why chain signatures is a different approach to how some other things are done.
Yeah, so generally bridges are very, very brittle. What you have to do with a bridge is you have to, on each chain, have a representation of the full logic of whatever chain it is you're trying to mirror. And if ever those 2 systems diverge, so if your bridge says that you have $10 and the chain says you don't have $10, that diversion can be used to drain funds from a bridge very, very trivially, which is why bridges are so dangerous. What you get with this is you simply just have a key inside of an account. And that means you can go and you can look at an RPC, you can see what's on there, and then make a decision with you in your account on what actions you want to take. This sort of cuts the attack surface down to something really, really small. It's a very simple thing. It's got one endpoint, and it just observes the Near blockchain. Simplicity is security, and also there's no latency attached. Generally, bridges sort of periodically sync between different chains, so you can look at sort of 1 or 2 hours for a bridge, or 15 minutes in the fast ones. For us, it's 0.7 seconds. So there's that sort of instant feedback that developers can get in sort of 1, 2, or 3 blocks on the Near ecosystem, which can be really a handful of seconds. So it's speed, it's security, and it's also nativeness. So when you do things with a bridge, you have a smart contract on the other end that's doing some very interesting stuff. It's creating all these kind of fake accounts, and it doesn't quite fit in correctly. It has instead of meeting your friend, you're meeting someone when you're wearing your friend's skin and pretending to be them. It's very there's lots of issues that come with that sort of interaction. You really need to think about how you can do it on every single chain in a different way. So it's about removing that overhead using standard libraries, keeping things simple and keeping it quick.
Awesome. And I love that line there of like, simplicity, leads to security, and it's not overdoing it. And one of the things, and as a developer myself, when you first hear some of these concepts, they seem complicated. I know the technology in the background is very complicated. It is not simple stuff. There's a lot of cryptography going on, but you guys have made it really simple for a developer to get up and running. MJ, can you talk a little bit about like what is available today for a developer to actually hit the ground running and actually start using this stuff?
Yeah, sounds good. Let me actually share a few visuals to make it easier for everyone. So I'm actually sharing my screen. I'm not sure if you can see it.
Yeah, we'll bring that up to the stage here.
Sounds good.
There
Cool,
we go.
perfect. Let me click slideshow. Okay, yeah. So as David mentioned, one of the key products that we are building here is called Chain Signatures. Essentially, it's a stretch code signature service, right, that enables any near account or any near smart contract to sign for any payload or any transaction on any chain, right? And the way it works is very simple. There's a smart contract which you can call to trigger a signature process. And API is extremely simple. There are just 3 inputs. The first one is the payload that you want to sign, and the second one is a key derivation path. So which basically enables a near smart contract or near account to manage multiple foreign accounts on other blockchains. Technically there's no limit. So a near smart contract can be managing hundreds of thousands or even millions of foreign accounts. And then the last input is just the key type. So basically, Chain Signatures works at on the signing scheme level. So we currently support ECDSA, and in the coming month we're going to add ED 25519 support, which will then cover pretty much every single blockchain that I am aware of. Yeah, and here's just a visual that shows how Chain Signatures works. So let's say we have a near account that wants to sign a payload or transaction on a foreign blockchain like Bitcoin, right? So what you can do is that you can call the Chain Signature smart contract on near by passing the payload and the key derivation path that we just talked about. And then there is this MPC network with a number of nodes that are listening to incoming signature requests from this smart contract. And once they receive the request, they will start signature process. And each of these MPC node holds a shard of a public key, and they can work together to sign for that public key, but none of them can do that individually. And once the signature process is complete, the signature will be returned back to the clients. And at that point, the transaction can be sent to the destination blockchain. It can be broadcasted. It can be sent via an RPC. It just depends on the implementation of the foreign blockchain. So that's how Chain Signature works. And in addition to that, we also have kind of like a helper product called multi-chain gas layer, which enables which enables users to pay for gas fee on foreign blockchain in a single token, right? Such as USDC. For example, you can do a transaction on Bitcoin blockchain, but you can pay near or USDC for the gas.
That's awesome. While we're here, so as a developer coming in to start hacking, how much infrastructure do they actually have to stand up themselves to actually get going with this?
I would say 0. This is kind of like a platform as a service. Everything is managed by by Pagoda and by others. Like the MPC network that is a decentralized, permissionless network. So there's nothing that developers need to set up on the infrastructure level.
All you need is a near token, an account, and you're good to go.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound like an infomercial, but it almost is like it's so easy. Like, we're not trying to, like, it's, there's no infra to have to set up. Like, it's just, you need an account and you're off and running, and it just get going. And so it all sounds great. It almost sounds too easy. So let me bring Jazz into the conversation. I know you've been playing with some of this as a developer. Can you talk about a little bit about your experience of actually building with Chain Signatures right now?
Yeah. for me, I think one of the biggest sort of wow moments was just controlling different accounts and different chains via my Near account. I'm always like all of us are, I guess, maintaining different wallets. You have one on Bitcoin, you have one on Ethereum, whatever your preferences are, and you have one on Near. At some point, you will start ask yourself, where does this stop? As in, all of your wallets have different amounts of tokens, whatever, etc. Your assets. I feel like for me, that was the biggest sort of selling point, which is I can just control all my assets through one key, and I don't have to worry about everything else. So I think that's where my initial sort of experimentations begin. And as MJ mentioned, it was pretty easy. I did a workshop on this a little while back as well, which is all the MPC contract complications and everything else, they're just abstracted to you in this a simple cross contract call, which is the sign function on the signer smart contract. And then all the MPC stuff and the smart contract pausing and waiting for the MPC service to give you back the signature and everything. All of the technical stuff, if you want to learn, that's fine. But if you don't want to jump into that, all of that is abstracted to you. So this comes as a simple smart contract call to the end user. And then derivation path and other stuff that you need to do is all off chain, and there are simple functions that you can just use to sort of get that. So at the end of the day, the UX is you just simply calling the signer smart contract with the sign function. I feel like that simplicity is great.
Yeah.
I also feel like the wallets on Near are so much better than other chains. No disrespect to any other ecosystem. So it's just nice to have your favorite wallets now being able to do things on other chains as well. My experience experimenting with the examples have been pretty good. I've tried to do some stuff on Ethereum, tried to experiment with some safe contracts on Ethereum. How can an account on Near control a safe account on Ethereum? How does everything goes through that? How can you set up a recovery through a safe account? All of that. So been a pretty fun experiment all along.
No, that's awesome. And one of the things here that, you know, we're maybe a little bit biased of saying like, sure, the Near wallets are better, but if you've used other chains and other things that there is something really nice about the wallets here on Near, but really the secret sauce is the account abstraction. So this all kind of goes together. Near's a really unique model. Maybe David, if you could just maybe touch on like some of the uniqueness here of combining the, you know, account model on Near along with chain signatures, you get this like superpowers as a dev to really work multi-chain.
Yeah, so the one thing that Near does better than any other blockchain, or has for a long time, is accounts. We went big on account abstraction when we launched, and it's a big reason why we have the most active users of any chain, because, you know, sort of we can define arbitrary rules to define how you can control your account. And not just how you control your account, but you can make arbitrary rules on any level of control all the way down. So you can say, like, if I want to send USDC to my mum on a Tuesday, I need my ledger. But if it's on a Wednesday, I can use an OAuth token or something interesting like that. So we built stuff like FastAuth, which is basically sign into your account using an OAuth token and sort of a ZK proof. And with this, and, you know, we have loads of other sort of you know, social recovery, we have ETH recovery, we have a million different ways to recover your account. Combining that, sort of all those million different ways to get into your Near account with the ability for your Near account to control any other account allows you to do cross-chain account abstraction, which is the right way to do it. So rather than having to deploy an account abstraction contract on each chain and set up an account on each chain and then have no ability to communicate between those chains and have to pay the native gas fee when it's potentially very, very expensive on, say, Ethereum, what you can do on Near is you can have a super cheap account that verifies super easily and has all these sort of libraries built in beforehand, and then you can just use that wherever you like. So basically, we're solving the private key problem everywhere. and we're solving onboarding everywhere. So making it as easy to onboard on any chain as it is to onboard on near.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I think that's a great summary. And again, if you have built here before, you understand how great it is to work with that. And if you haven't yet, I really encourage you to come try this experience, because even if you've done work in other, blockchains, it is really a different experience when you get into this model here. I want to.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
Another really useful thing is we have this great account abstraction, but if you actually just want to do regular EVM account abstraction, you can do that in Aurora as well. So if there's some sort of nice account abstraction contracts like Gnosis Safe or any of those other things that you want to use across chains, a great hackathon project is to deploy that on our sort of EVM compatible layer, which is called Aurora, and then start like having those accounts control things on different chains. So keep your key inside your abstract account.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, no, that's right. That initial EVM layer is already here on Near, so like it almost can't be simpler. So again, we're trying not to come off as too shilly here, but like it just when you get into it, you'll see actually how easy it could be. But I want to bring Rez in here. I know you do a lot across multiple different chains. You post a lot of great stuff. Over the years on Twitter of using different chains and different feedback. I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts about how chain abstraction could really benefit an end user. Rez, what are some ideas that kind of come to mind when you see this type of technology?
Yeah, so nowadays I think chain abstraction is one of the most important things to have. Is just because in crypto we have a lot of fragmentation, like we have all the different L2s, and it's just super complex. It's not the same as when you were getting into space 7 years ago or 6 years ago. Now it's just for someone. I've tried to do it with some of my friends, and now like they are totally overwhelmed. So if you can offer the experience in which they don't have to think, and everything works, that's amazing. And not only that, it's also about because you could kind of abstract away the experience with some sort of universal front end, and like get bridges and all of everything working on the back end without the user realizing. But chain signatures and what we're doing is just much more than that, because it allows things to happen on the back end that couldn't be possible before. It allows you to really use native assets across all chains, which is something that it doesn't really matter how much you abstract the experience away. Without this kind of technology, you cannot really do it. So yeah, I've been for the last months working with a lot of teams, like pitching chain signatures, trying to understand what their main problems are, what they're trying to solve. And we do propose solutions as well. So I'm going to give you some sort of list of the ideas that we are interested in, or some things that you can do with chain signatures. And then, like if you guys want like more information about how to do anything of that, and you can obviously send me a DM or something like this. So, all right. So the most interesting thing is, at the beginning, we are going to be focusing on, like creating the main primitives for a totally omni-chain abstracted DeFi ecosystem. So DEXs are super important. You could build an AMM. It's even easier with chain signatures and the way that it works to create an order book or a request for quote. This is, basically it could really be the first time that you have a technology that would allow you to create a true spot order book. You're not using contracts. You're not using synthetic assets. It's like really using native assets. So, for example, you could buy native Bitcoin with USDT on Ethereum or USDC on Solana when EDDSA chains are integrated. So that's obviously the main one. Then you have lending as well. Interesting things that you could do is use these native assets as collateral, like, for example, native Bitcoin. And I'm going to say native Bitcoin a lot because even though this is an omni-chain world, we're doing initially a lot of focus on Bitcoin just because of the untapped potential, untapped liquidity and potential that it has. So lending, you can use Doge, XRP, Bitcoin, these sort of assets that haven't been really used in DeFi, unless you've used like a wrapped version of Bitcoin or a synthetic asset or something like this. But you could in lending, you have two approaches. So you could do one that is the sort of difficult one, that is literally any asset as collateral, and you borrow against whatever other asset in any chain. And then you have a bit more simple one, which could be like a good idea for the hackathon, which is, okay, you go to Near, you get the Near, the Bitcoin-like client, then you can get something like Borrow, you can fork it, and then just using like an oracle like Pith, you can create a lending protocol in which you borrow really native Bitcoin, and then you can, you put native Bitcoin as collateral, and then you borrow stable coins on Near, which would be native USDC and USDT. And then you can bridge that across with Stargate or any other solution. Some more ideas, you could create like a stable coin, like a CDP, and using native Bitcoin as collateral, you can create that stable coin in Bitcoin. And then you can create that stable coin as well in any other chain. We have something really, really interesting, which is called the Omni token standard. I'm not sure if this is already updated in the docs, but if someone's interested, you can hit me up. And the Omni token standard basically allows you to have a token with a unified supply across all chains integrated via chain signatures. So you don't need to wrap the token, or like once you breach an asset and then you need to build up the liquidity, then there's another layer 1 or layer 2, there is the hyped one coming, and now you need to like bridge it again, create a new bridge, build up the liquidity again. That's removed with the Omni token standard. You basically mint, burn, move the asset across without really bridging, and you have a unified supply all the time. And not just a CDP, you could also create like a decentralized Athena. Like the only requirements is the Bitcoin-like client, which we already have, an oracle, and that's it. You can use you can buy the Bitcoin and then borrow USDC in another chain, and then you can open a contract, a short, in something like DYDX. You could create like a decentralized Athena with any asset, really. Obviously, Bitcoin is going to be more liquid. And like many other things, I could be talking here about example. I'm going to cut it here, but things like using native Bitcoin as collateral for perps, something like a GMX LP-based derivatives platform. You can use that. You could restake any asset, create some sort of Babylon for any asset, really, Solana, Near, Bitcoin. And also something for Bitcoin developers as well. There's a lot of layers on Bitcoin right now, and we have Merlin chain, we have BitLayer, we have many Bitcoin layer 2s and side chains. So there's a lot of different synthetic assets created. It could be another potential solution. Something really interesting is one way to go, something similar to how Stargate works, to go from any synthetic version of Bitcoin in any other chain to native Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain. So as you guys can see, many ideas that you could create. Yeah, I will stop it here. But if you want more, I can give you more later.
Yeah. No, great initial list. And I've been writing some of these thoughts down here. And I don't know if we can do enough justice here of like what you can really achieve at this hackathon. One, all the stuff that you were listing, you can do today with the infrastructure that's already in place. And so this is not like, oh, I hope to get to that point. It's not in the future. It's not like, hurry up and wait for, Near to catch up. You can do it today. So that's number one. Two, all of this stuff that we're talking about is really truly stuff that's actually innovating on the DeFi space. And so if you've been around DeFi for a while, it has maybe felt a little stale to some people. It's gotten kind of redundant at times. This really opens the floodgates to tons of different ideas. And like you said, Rez, to a lot of different liquidity in some different formats, which is interesting. And the other part of this, and I think, before we there's a couple questions I want to get to, but there's so much time in this hackathon. You have almost 2 months to actually hack. And that's where it's a great time to really push the limits a little bit. Normally in a hackathon, maybe you have a week, maybe a couple weeks, maybe at the most, maybe a month. You have 2 full months to really push the limits here. Experiment, try different things, and we will tell you that the Near developer community is very active in helping each other. And so if you get stuck early on, you can absolutely jump in to any of the different chats, ask questions. You can reach out to the people here on the call. You can go to these telegrams, and there's tons of different help to get get over the finish line if you get stuck anywhere. So don't get discouraged and really try different things. I really want to highlight that part. Let's take a question though we had in the chat here, and maybe David, this might be a good question for you to take. Does Near support external APIs in smart contracts?
What do they mean by external APIs?
I'm guessing they probably mean they're referring to things that are outside of the Near blockchain.
Yeah, so we have this thing called yield resume, which is actually kind of this really sort of missed technology we use for chain signatures. And what yield resume does is it gives you the ability. In Near, what we do is we have asynchronous smart contracts. So contract A can call contract B, can call contract C, and they all happen sort of in different transactions. What we have is this really cool technology called yield resume, and what that allows you to do is to yield a value externally off the blockchain. People can watch and wait for those values, and then run any arbitrary action on those values and return a response. So what we do in chain signatures, the way it works is you call the signer contract sort of sends your request up, the MPC network watches for that, and then sends the signature back down. But if you wanted to, you could very easily make say, a web server that listens for HTTP requests. So I say I want to call the Bloomberg API and check what the USD Bitcoin rate is. It'll go up there. You have to have some sort of way of verifying it's correct, and then these nodes will send the result back down, and then you can basically ingest that information and continue your computation with it. And you can do as many yield resumes as you like. So you can send off 5 different requests to 5 different sort of oracles, and you can get the responses back. And what this allows you to do is not just have a pure computation, but have a computation that affects the outside world under certain circumstances, and also can read information back, which is sort of very novel. And I don't know any other blockchain that supports that.
Yeah, it's that's that's sometimes the hard thing when you're building on Near, is there's so many features that are built into this, and so it is like this. It is not so straightforward and basic all the time. There's so much that you can actually do and really get creative, and that's why this hackathon was designed to be as long as it is, so that you can actually really explore the ins and outs of the ecosystem, understand the technology, take that time. So if you are completely new to Near, completely new to Web3 or crypto, there is time here. There's tons of help available to be able to do that. So
I would just say it's relatively difficult to use at the moment. The libraries haven't really been fleshed out. So you kind of need to go into the chain signatures repo, look at how we do it, and then build out from there. Love for someone to build out better libraries for that stuff, because I think it'd be really helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually, there's a track on the hackathon for research and development. So if you're into R&D, if you want to dive into some of this stuff, if you want to experiment, awesome opportunity to do that as well. Now, Jazz, I want to bring you back into this. I don't want to put you on the spot too much here, but as someone who is likely going to participate, but is constantly hacking away, trying different things, what are some things that come to mind for you for this hackathon to explore, especially around since we're talking about like chain signatures and chain abstraction today?
So some of the ideas that I've been playing around, or at least studying into, that I would want to try, certainly some of the stuff on Bitcoin. One of the ideas that I'm looking into is just straight up lockup contracts on Bitcoin, so that you can lock up Bitcoin and have vesting schedules and whatnot, just like any other smart contract chains do for other assets. Like you can do a lockup contract on Ethereum, you can do it on Near, and you have it logged and then vested, and then the beneficiary is getting that. It's not possible to do the same on Bitcoin because of its limitations. I feel like lockup contract with Near's liquidity could have a good use case and a lot of adaptation if it's available. Uh, the Bitcoin network has massive sort of liquidity, and I feel like lockup contracts for whatever business use case you have, be it an escrow or whatever other, be it paying people in Bitcoin for the long term involvement in projects or whatnot. I feel like lockup contracts is a big one for me. Another one is just doing sort of multi-signature wallets on Bitcoin, because natively you can't do that. And then sometimes as an organization, as a group, you might want to have multi-signatures to sort of use your Bitcoin treasury or whatnot. I feel like that's I wouldn't say it's an easy win, but at least from a conceptual standpoint, I feel like doing DAOs would be nice, and there wouldn't be maybe a too much thing to figure out. Like if you're doing something native DeFi thingy, or one of the uh, innovative ideas that we have been talking, might require a lot of research and stuff. I feel like if you want to do DAOs on Bitcoin or a simple multi-signature on Bitcoin, you might already have a lot of stuff out there that you can just hack and fork and build something. I feel like one of the things that really excites me about Near is, and this is me just going back to the discussion on Near's account model. So you have access keys, where you have function access keys and full access keys, a concept very, very useful to build applications in Near, and which is completely not explored at all on chains like Ethereum, etc. I'm not sure if smart wallets also have capabilities like that. I feel like building access key derived use cases in Ethereum are also something really exciting. I would want to do that. Function call access keys on Ethereum would be cool to have, where you do not have full access to the smart contract or whatever you're trying to do, and you have limited access to only call certain functions. I think that's exciting to do. Um, yeah, I think these are the things that currently I try to experiment with, and I'm just thinking to do all of them or one of them as a part of the hackathon.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, one of the things, Jazz, you brought up is kind of that remixing of like current things that exist today, but expanding it into something that either opens up to another ecosystem, maybe brings in other functionality from another chain that's not already there. And that's an important point, that like you don't have to, again, stay in such a linear way of thinking. You can really, again, you can take something that exists today and remix it and rebuild and see what you can do and expand on that. MJ, I want to come back to you for a second here and just kind of talk a little bit about like what the next few months look like around, chain signatures and everything else. One of the questions I think developers usually have is like, how stable is this? Are you guys going to make a lot of breaking changes soon? Those kind of things. What does the, like short-term roadmaps to look like? And, is there anything that developers need to be aware of? Not just building now, but kind of through the end of the year?
Yeah, I think DMD is probably in the best position to answer this. But in terms of short-term roadmap, so as I mentioned earlier, we are going to add ECD SA support, so that will cover pretty much all the blockchains out there. And I think scalability is another thing that will be added, basically improved in the next couple of months. I'll leave it up to you, DMD, in terms of breaking changes and stuff.
Yeah, so no, we're not doing breaking changes because obviously people are writing smart contracts against it and they're paying the ass to update. That's not to say we're not going to evolve the API, but it'll be versioned, so you have sort of different contracts to hit as you move forward. Big thing is EDDSA and scalability, completely right. What EDDSA gives you is the ability to talk to chains like Solana and Tom natively without having to deploy smart contracts. It also gives you the ability to do Taproot and other very interesting things like runes in Bitcoin, which are not possible right now using ECDSA. We're looking for to sort of significantly improve the latency, hoping by the end of the year to have sort of consistently ways to sort of do this in about a second would be the ideal situation. And we're looking for scalability of around 300 signatures per second. Right now, we're still, I believe, the fastest signature network, but we'd like to be about 100 times faster. So that's that's what we've got to look forward to, and lots and lots of stuff to do with security as well, which are too numerous to list.
Nice. No, that's great news. Here, let's take a question here. So someone over on our LinkedIn brought up, would it be possible to create a world in which you have only have stablecoin liquidity and abstract account does just-in-time exchange of your stablecoin liquidity into the target chain's coin to essentially cover transaction fees on chain? Or must you have near to initiate the on-chain signature?
Yes, that is very possible. There's lots of good ways of doing that. One is using the multi-chain gas relay. And this is generally something that's possible to do anyway. But by having one account, it makes it much, much simpler to do those kind of things. What it also allows you to do is to do those exchanges, but also subsidize those exchanges. And that allows for cross-pollination between applications. So if you have a user, say on Sweatcoin, someone can come along and say, like, look, you have all these great users. I'd love to, I have a on-chain biking app, so that could be complementary to your on-chain walking app. Why don't we get people to pay in Sweat and subsidize their gas costs when they go in? Now, this is impossible anywhere else because what would generally happen is there'd be a faucet attack. And as you subsidize people's gas costs, they'd just steal that gas back off you. But because you can limit what the key can and can't do, sort of using a function called access key or just a limited key, you have the ability to basically onboard people much more easily. So you can subsidize their first couple of transactions and then get them going. So yes, that's possible and a lot more.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great question. And, even better answer, because again, it just continues to go back to this whole ecosystem for development of because of the account model, because of the key structure, then you're, tying this in with chain signatures and everything else. You can do this. I believe actually Sweat is doing something like this. So I know you use Sweat as, I believe that's how Sweat is doing something like this right now, or they're working on it. So, I mean, this is not fantasy type of stuff. This is actually, again, live now that you can start working on, which is really, really exciting. As we come close to the top of the hour here, I just want to kind of circle back on a little bit more of just some other ideas of building, of what else is really possible. Anyone can kind of jump in, but I don't know if Rez, you had any other ideas that you wanted to bring up that you think are good for a hackathon.
I can jump in. So
yeah, please.
To me, I think there were a couple categories. The first one is basically building this kind of chain agnostic or any chain apps. Basically, the concept is that instead of choosing one chain to deploy your applications to, right, you can actually build an application in a way that can serve any new chain immediately. So I think Jess mentioned, the multi-chain DAO ideas. Basically, what you can do is that you can build a DAO that where people can, propose ideas and vote on near, right? But then the smart contract of the DAO can actually, control and manage accounts on any, foreign blockchain, right? For example, the DAO can collectively decide to buy, Bitcoin or runes or, an NFT on Ethereum, right? So the DAO contract can interact with the MPC contract or the chain signature smart contract to initiate those transactions, right? You can even make it more generic. This can become like a multi-chain escrow application where, you can have, a multi-sig that manages, funds or treasury on multiple, foreign blockchains. And another thing, so another category is also, what Jess mentioned, basically, smart contracts or, DeFi for Bitcoin. Basically, the concept here is that you can use Near as the smart contract layer for your application logic for state, right? And then you can build, all sorts of DeFi applications for Bitcoin. For example, you can have a lending protocol that, takes Bitcoin on Bitcoin, right? So the application will use, Bitcoin for custody, and, users can borrow against their Bitcoin for like USDC or any other chain. So that's another example. I guess there are a few other ideas that I'm, particularly, excited about. One thing is, I think Ilian mentioned it as well, is this concept of called liquidation protection bot. You can call it that way. So if you are like a heavy DeFi user, we know that the market is dumping, so you're probably constantly kind of monitoring your position on like Burrow or Aave to avoid being liquidated, right? So what you can do is actually build a bot which has like off-chain components that monitors your position on various DeFi applications. And then once it realizes, okay, your position is at risk of being liquidated, it can call the smart contract right on chain, and then the smart contract can interact with chain signatures to initiate transactions to either reduce your leverage or top up your collateral, right, to avoid being liquidated. And you can even expand the scope of that and make this like a generic kind of like trading bot, right? You can define strategies, and then as soon as some of the rules are met, right, it will trigger transactions on various blockchains. And the beauty of this type of application is that you don't have to kind of manually or individually add support for every new chain, right? Because chain signatures support chains at the signing scheme level, right? So as long as the chain supports like ECDSA or ECDSA ED25519, it will be supported, right? That's the beauty of it. And I guess another idea that I'm very excited about is called Accountify, right? So basically, the concept is that, as I mentioned, with chain signatures, each near account or smart contract can show multiple foreign accounts, right? And actually, these accounts, the ownership of these accounts can be traded, right? So this means that you can build a type of DeFi application that they can trade not the underlying assets, but like the accounts holding those assets, right? So this means that everything under the accounts can be traded. So that this is not limited to like fungible tokens or NFTs, but also things like points, right, which are usually not tradable. So that's just another idea that I want to throw out there.
Yeah, great stuff.
I talked to a professional airdrop farmer recently, and what he does is he has a team that goes out and gets airdrops. And he said the bane of his life was liquidity. Basically, he did all these things, and then he would get these accounts that had all this value, but just be stuck with them for like a year. And he was sort of basically just literally couldn't get enough capital in to keep this old business running. So it's a complete game changer, that the ability to get something illiquid and like do a bit of work, get something illiquid, sell it fast, get back on the horse, do it again. And the first person to get that done is going to make a bunch of money, I reckon.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's all those friction points that are there, again, whether it's through airdrops, farming, but even just the little stuff of just like, right, like I need to transfer money to someone on a different thing, and I'm only using that, being that middleman, in a much more efficient, safer way than bridging all those little things. It's just tons of places to go. Let me, while we're near the end here, I want to just share my screen real quick, and then we can talk through here. So if you haven't already signed up, please go to DevPost and you can join the hackathon here. Tons of great information all about it. So don't get confused. Up top it says November 9th through 11th. That's for the IRL event. The hackathon submissions start opening up tomorrow, and it goes all the way to the end of October, October 25th. You have tons of time to build, tons of things to do. There's an initial resource page which will keep updating. You can jump in and see, and all the stuff that we talked about today. You can get right to the documentation. It's all here. If you have questions, if you want to build a team, if you never used DevPost before, you can work on building a team there. All the rules, everything else is all there, and who to contact. As you can see, there's over $500,000 in prizes, and again, you do not have to attend the IRL event to do this. You can start building right away. Everything can be online, and you can win. So it's really going to be an exciting experience. So I really encourage you to go sign up, get involved, get those updates, and start building as soon as you can. as we come to the end here, let's just kind of we'll go around the horn here, and any kind of last words, things like that. Let's start with Jazz. Any last words here for building thoughts? Anything you got?
Nothing extraordinary. I would just encourage everybody to start playing with the chain signature examples out there. They're very simple, very fundamental, very easy to follow. They're all in the resources, I guess. If you play around with the simple chain signature examples or the cross-contract, smart contract examples, I think that would be a really good first thing you would do. And then there's just so much to explore. So I would just encourage everybody to go through the initial examples and build some foundation and just go from there to building whatever they want.
Perfect. Love it. DMD, what do you got for us?
I'd just say, like, the technology is cool, but it's a little rough around the edges at the moment. So I'd go and look at like what other people are building and where they're building it, because Bitter has this great wallet. Diffuse is working on this sort of amazing intent-based system where you can just say, I want X token in this account and I'm willing to buy it, which is sort of, if you can find a way to get that into your product, it will change the game. And, so we have this amazing onboarding technology. The thing this is best for is onboarding. So you have some sort of proof you are who you say you are. You have this sort of cross-chain address, so you can send arbitrary things to a near account, which will have an account on every single chain. We have the ability to fund these accounts. We have the ability to move the correct assets at the last minute on there, so you can just pay for everything using one token. I think the best product is going to come out of this hackathon is something to do with onboarding and something to do with cheap transactions for average people. So if anyone wants to, I would look at what Diffuse is doing, look at what FastOff is doing, copy as much as you can, and come out with something cool.
Awesome. Great stuff. Rez, I know you have one other idea that you wanted to share. Anything else that you want to wrap up with?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is something I remember speaking with MJ about this one, but Bitcoin runes airdrop could be like a potential idea as well for a hackathon. Basically, this is something you cannot really do in Bitcoin, and you should just like create a near smart contract that could facilitate this Bitcoin runes airdrop. You have to, pre-mine the runes, and they have to be residing in addresses derived from chain signatures. But just with that, and with the BTC-like client, the users could fund one of the BTC addresses and with the transaction fee, and submit the transaction hash and BTC address for the near contract, and then you can basically create this mass airdrop of Bitcoin runes. And just another point that I wanted to raise is, like, for me, the cool thing about chain signatures, and this is what I tell everyone to experiment with it, is for the first time in not for the first time, for the first time in like 3 years in DeFi, you have something that is new. This is not another chain that's gonna get hyped and you build the same DEX, lending, whatever, in just another chain. There's a rotation of capital, and then it's over. It's actually new tech, and so I think everyone should be experimenting with that. Out of all the ideas that we've said, and we mentioned Diffuse, and other teams like Mintbase with their wallet. The things that I would suggest at the moment for people to experiment with that would be kind of more needed right now for the ecosystem would be some things related to lending and that sort of universal integration that MJ said about, like integrate chain signatures once, and then you can get access to all the chains. Because if you just go to the hype chain number 2, and then there's hype in another chain, you have to deploy again. It's easy if it's basically an EVM, but if it's a non-EVM chain with a new language or whatever, it's just going to get more complex. You have to deploy a lot of resources. With chain signatures, you get it just at the very first moment. So anything around that would be super interesting as well. And lending, that, Bitcoin, anything related to that is going to be super interesting to us.
Awesome. Yeah, great ideas. Really, I think that there's such good stuff to highlight. And if you are interested at all in DeFi, Rez, your point is 100% spot on. This is not only new tech, and so it's not just something that's hyped. It's built on top of a proven blockchain that has been tested, that has, the most usage right now throughout Web3. So, it's not some fly-by-night type of thing either. So really exciting stuff here.
And another good point that I would make for protocols would be this thing that we're living in DeFi with this rotation. The problem that a lot of dApps have is that once you create a dApp on a chain, like you're sort of attached to it, attached to the success of that chain. So if that chain is doing well and it's hyped at the moment, you're probably doing well too. But we know how crypto works. So at the moment that it goes down, you're going to go down with it. You have to deploy a new one. You're seen as mercenary too. You fragment your liquidity. If you do something with chain signatures, you're basically everywhere. And the hype of it, you're not attached to a single chain. So that's another point of view that I see for long-term sustainability.
Great point. I love it. Good stuff. MJ, wrap up here.
Yeah, sure. So as DMD and Rez mentioned, the technology is really cool, but I also want to add that we also have a great developer community here. People are already building JavaScript libraries for front ends, Rust libraries for smart contract. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to join the chat group on Telegram and post a question there.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, as through Proximity as a team, DevHub as a team, we have tons of people who are there who are ready to come and support you if you have questions. The community itself is very active, so other developers who are working on similar things are there to help. Again, don't be shy, and don't just wait till the last minute to ask questions, because there's probably somebody who's either facing the same thing or whatever else. So, great stuff today. I want to, again, if you haven't signed up yet, hit the link at the bottom. It's going to be a great opportunity to learn something new, experiencing something, new and exciting in this space, and maybe win some really great prizes. Tons of prizes up for grabs for everybody. There's going to be more bounties over time announced. So if you go there now and you just see a few, there's going to be even more in the coming weeks. So it's a good time to get started early. Everyone on this call, I want to thank you so much for your time. This has been super helpful. I think people are going to get a lot out of this. Again, we'll keep doing these leading up throughout the entire hackathon. This was about chain abstraction. So thank you again, MJ, Rez, Jazz, David. I really appreciate your guys' time. And we will be back tomorrow, the kickoff. So you will see us tomorrow, 4 p.m. UTC. We will do the actual kickoff of the submissions and go from there. And you have all the way till October 25th to get your submission in. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
It's time to testify. Chain signatures launched. We're reaching for the sky. Blockchain gets unlocked.